It's been 2 years since this absolute masterpiece miniature was played by Luis Supi. So on the 26th of May, Magnus Carlsen logged on to chess.com and he actually set himself a goal of rising to number 1 in the Blitz rankings for the day. So he created a new account called Menu Garden. Don't ask me why Menu Garden. And he started playing tons of Blitz chess. He streamed it for kind of 8 hours or something. And one of his opponents was the Brazilian GM Luis Supi. And the game that then appeared on the board became so famous that it actually won the chess.com Immortal Game contest. So I want to show you this one today. You may have seen it. If so, enjoy reliving it. If you haven't, you're in for a treat. And I also want to share you a bit more backstory at the end of the game. There's an interesting fact here, some backstory details about Luis Supi on the day this was played. But let's see what happened here. So e4 from Luis. Now we had pawn d5. Magnus played the Scandinavian. He likes to dabble with this. We had the captures, and now knight c3 is most common, but knight f3 was played instead. Magnus now pins that one, and bishop e2 immediately breaks the pin, and Magnus gets on with some rapid development here. He's preparing to actually castle queenside. So this knight hit the queen, it dropped back to d7, and after h3 questioning this bishop, Magnus actually just chops off the knight. The bishop recaptures and he's gained some control over those dark squares for the bishop pair. So he castled the king, Luis did the same, and now he immediately just plonks this knight in the centre, looking to pick up that dangerous bishop on f3. And now Luis just ignores that, not that the bishop has a good square, he just starts attacking on the queen side with pawn to a4. So he wants to run this one down, and it also supports these knight b5 ideas, which we'll see. So Magnus goes king b8, always play king b8 or king b1 as Ben Feingold would say. He tucks that one away, and now knight b5 from Luis. So he's looking to open lines here. So say Magnus captured that one, pawn recaptures. Yes, black can win a pawn, but look how naked the black king is here. There's no bishops defending it, no knights. And now this rook is actually preparing to swing into the game. Rook b3 is coming. You can play things like c6 to start defending, but white's getting a massive attack. Soon this d-pawn could move, then the bishop joins in. Not a lot of fun. So Magnus didn't capture the knight on b5. He took this bishop on f3. The queen recaptured, and now he went pawn a6, looking to kick that knight out of his house. And this is where Luis just plays an awesome move here. He goes pawn to c4, ignoring the threat, saying, okay, sure, take my knight, Magnus. I'll recapture with the pawn. Now look at the a file I've opened. You still haven't developed your pieces. My queen's swinging to a3 here. You're going to get mated. But in actual fact, this was a bit of a bluff if Magnus had found the right move. So after you play this, takes the knight, which Magnus didn't play, then you can actually go queen to d3, and you cut this connection here from the a file so the queen can't swing over. If you try, say, queen d1 to bring it in this manner, well, then black can pick up on c4, cover the square. It's just not actually quite working, so you'd be forced to take on f7, but then you're heading in the wrong direction. You want to be attacking here. So actually Magnus could have taken that knight immediately, plonked the queen on d3, but instead he goes e5. I mean, this is blitz chess, of course. You're playing on instinct. So he develops his pawn, opens up his bishop, covers that a3 square from the white queen. And now a great move from Luis. He wants to carry on attacking, but he wants to do it with initiative. So he goes pawn d4 here. And now he opens up this dark squared bishop. Plus we note that this queen can no longer land on d3. Now Magnus captures that pawn. If you don't do that, if you try and develop a knight or something, well then we can take the pawn. Yes, you get knight c6, but white is a pawn up. Not good for black here. So Magnus actually just took the pawn here. He didn't develop his knight, but now bishop f4 came. More pressure coming down against the king. You can't go bishop d6 or the knight will simply chop it off. Pawn recaptures, c5. That's an ugly pin using the bishop. So you can't actually block that one like that. And that's why here Magnus does take the plunge. He captures this knight on b5. the a pawn recaptures, opens that a file, and now Magnus goes bishop to d6, looking to trade those ones off. But here Luis recognises he's got a huge initiative, he should attack the black king. So he goes rook a2, preparing to double the other rook, deliver checkmate on a8, and that's why Magnus goes queen to f5 here. So he's vacated that d7 square, the king's got its running shoes on, he wants to evacuate the queen side, plus of course he pressures this bishop on f4 here, he wants to pick that one up. But now Luis comes up with a stunning concept. He leaves the bishop on f4, lets Magnus take it if he wants it, he brings the other rook across, preparing to checkmate, so the king comes to c8, and this is where he lands an absolutely killer blow. Can you find the move? So queen c6 was landed on the board, and Magnus is streaming of course, and he's just going, oh, that's dirty, look at that, that is a nasty trick. Wow, what a move. He sits there, he's contemplating, he's calculating, and he's just like, yeah, this is dead, I'm completely lost. For the reason being, you've cut the king's escape here, and if you capture that queen, pawn recaptures, still the king is boxed in. And the rooks are just coming down, you can't do anything about it. The computer wants to just start giving up pieces with queen b1 check, that kind of stupid stuff. Game's completely gone. So Magnus actually resigned in this position here after queen c6, and the game has now become immortal. And the side story here that I wanted to mention, so apparently on the day that this game was played, Luis's dog had died. So it was 15 years old and he'd had it for a long time, it got sick, it passed away sadly. So he was playing some chess to just de-stress, and he just so happened to play this immortal game against Magnus, went down in history now, online blitz chess history. So kind of a nice side story. I saw it on one of the top comments on the video that Gotham Chess did on this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. I will bring some more miniatures in future. If you want to see another amazing Magnus Carlsen game, then click here. Thanks very much for watching. See you soon.